Matchup, leverage, and grass. This will be my 21st year coming up this fall, and somewhere about year 1 or 2 in that process, somebody started talking to me about this kind of stuff, and those were kind of the things. We've changed the names of them over the years, but that's what I kind of seized on. Everything we do in trying to score points comes down to a matchup, a leverage, or a grass read. I love when I hear people talk about read progressions. I just signed a quarterback to a college scholarship 2 weeks ago on signing day before I came here. And when I got that young man, I asked him, I said, what is your read progression? What's that? I said, so let me get this straight. I said, you led your team to the 4A playoffs last fall and you don't have a read progression. Nope, don't know what that is. And I went through and I started talking to him about all this stuff, and he didn't. He did not know what that was. But he knew a lot more about that than he thought he did. So let's boil it down very succinctly. A matchup is, I got one better than your one. And I'm going to find a way to get him the ball. There's a lot of ways to do that. We all do it with a fade ball, right? My guy's 6'3", corner's 5'10". Doesn't take a rocket scientist. We need to find that matchup. But the matchups have changed dramatically over the last 10 to 15 years. The matchup I had last fall was 5'5" and 141 pounds on anybody you put out there on him. Now, he's a troll, but he's a back-to-back state champion wrestler in Idaho. He's won the last 2 4A titles. He was a runner-up by 1 point as a freshman. So he's 1 point from winning 3 in a row. And there is not a dude in the state of Idaho that can cover him. He's not played football since his freshman year. And everybody looks at him and goes, dude weighs 140 pounds. He's 5'5". What am I supposed to be afraid of? You can't press him. You can't tackle him. You can't jam him. If you play off coverage, he's smart enough to alter the route. He's one of the best football players I've coached in 20 years. He led the state of Idaho in receiving yards after his 8th game. The only reason he didn't play in the last game of the year is because he was invited to the freak show. If you know anything about wrestling, there's a freak show down in Vegas, and it's the dudes get invited to that. Well, he'd already been invited before I got the job. He told me day one, he said, I'll play football for you, but I can't play the 9th game. I got to go to the freak show. I said, I don't know what the hell that is, but go ahead. Okay? So he went down there, finished, I think, 4th in whatever the competition was, but he's a flat dude. His matchup is not running fades, okay? His matchup's bubbles, snag routes, motioning, bouncing in and out of the backfield. You got to be creative, okay? The days are over where you look around and you're like, okay, I want to throw the ball. Nobody's 6'4". If I only threw the ball to people that were 6'4", we would be in the eye. Because there is no one 6'4". Well, I take that back. My left tackle is, and he couldn't play dead in a cowboy movie for speed, okay? He is slow. There's nobody 6'4" in my program, okay? I've got all a bunch of short wide receivers. But we led the state in passing last year. Okay? Leverage is very simple. Leverage is how far between defenders. Where did I create little niches? So, for instance, if you look at that stack backer right there where the word grass is, okay, he's out-leveraged on this slant route. You look at that linebacker up top, right in front of the official, he's out-leveraged. He lined up too tight to the box. That's the stuff I'm looking for. And the second half of this lecture is going to be all about that, about how I find leverage, just to the naked eye. Grass either is, and this is a great point if you're somebody that likes to take notes, grass is space that either occurs naturally by alignment or is created artificially by the play calling. So for instance, if you look at the screen here, number 1, this corner down here, the kid with the white socks on down at the bottom of the screen, I believe is going to play at the University of Indiana next year. I believe. They were ranked number 5 in the state the night that we upset them when I coached down in South Carolina. The grass is only 5 yards. He's only 5 yards back. So if everybody looked at that, they'd say, well, there's no grass there. You can't create grass. No, there's lots of grass behind him because he's playing cover 0 with no safety help over there. So I have to decide how to get that grass, okay? The way we actually beat them in overtime is we started running all of our pull, read it all the way out, RPOs to his side because we knew he was lock-up man. And we put the slowest human being God put on the face of the planet, our tight end out there, and said, just go. Just go. Just run deep and take him with you, and we'll read everything underneath. So there's a lot of ways to find that. Everything we do. I have not called a play in 15 years that was not built around matchups, leverage, and grass. That's all we use. We have a drop back read progression, and tomorrow afternoon when I speak about our air raid passing stuff, I'll talk all about how we read things in progression. But in the RPO world, everything is matchup, leverage, and grass. Okay? So here, my question to you would be, where is the matchup? Where is the leverage? Where is the grass? Because if you can see it, does your quarterback see it? And if you see one thing and he sees the other, that's the definition of coaching. So what I see right there is the matchup we have is at the bottom of the screen. My sophomore wide receiver down there, this was 2 years ago, is an absolute dude. And they've got their best corner pulled back up to the top of the screen because I've got a pretty decent receiver up there. So I like that matchup. That's one. Where's the leverage? Well, they've taken leverage away from the trip side, but they have given leverage away down here to the boundary side. Okay, you can see the linebackers all the way inside the defensive end. So they've leveraged the slant right there. So as a play caller, it's my job to call a couple fades, a couple glance posts, make sure the corner plays the deep third like he's supposed to, and then leverage my way into that throw. What we actually ran there, this is a still shot, but we actually ran a front door RPO. So we read this all the way out down here. Okay? That's the stuff that I'm talking about. That's where I think the game is changing is you have to be able to look at that, and your quarterback have to be able to look at that, and you have to be able to snap it and take the same picture and say that you're seeing the same things. Because really the RPO world, and you're interested in that or you wouldn't be here, the RPO world is the attempt to put your brain inside the quarterback's body and send him out there on Friday night. If you do that, you'll put up gaudy numbers. If you don't, you won't. That's all it is. You have the knowledge, he has the skill. You don't have eligibility, so how well you do is irrelevant. You've got to get him the knowledge. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, trips there. Hopefully, this is pretty easy. Where's the grass? The grass is massive down here to the trip side. I don't even really ask the quarterback anymore to talk to me about numbers. Okay, we have a hard deck rule. The hard deck rule is 10 yards from the toes of the receivers. So we would say that this safety up here on the hash does not count. He's more than 10 yards off. So it's 3/2. That's a great conversation for you and I right now in a clinic setting. It's not a great conversation with somebody who can't drive to practice every day. So instead, it's a simple question. I'll say, son, where is the matchup? Where is the leverage? Where is the grass? He'd say, well, coach, the stack backer is leveraged. He's in the box, and I have a ton of grass over number 3. So if I call any kind of RPO, he's already going to understand conceptually there's grass hanging out over trips. He should play that. And I'll just put this kind of stuff up. I have a big screen mounted in my office. I'll bring it in. I'll hit pause, and I'll say, where do you see a lot of grass on that football field? Trip side, coach. All right, what do you want to call? I want to call stick. Okay, do you want it locked or unlocked? I want it unlocked. Why? Well, because of where the backer's leverage is at. Bam. All right, let's go. Next clip. That's how he and I talk now. We have very simple, very concise conversations because there's only 3 things in his mindset: matchup, leverage, and grass. And matchup goes away in a hurry when you're playing the number 5 team in the state because there ain't a whole lot of them, right? Most of their guys were better than our guys, so we had to do a lot of leverage and grass. This team right here, this is a 5A school. We were a 3A school that upset them. You can see there, their players might be slightly bigger than mine. Okay, they were a 300-pound defensive line. When they subbed those 3 out, they brought in 3 more 300-pound guys. We had one 300-pound kid, and it was because he ate a lot of sandwiches. It wasn't because he lifted a lot of weights. Okay, we were really, really small. Okay, so when we look at that, instead of asking them to talk about numbers, again, we just start talking about where's leverage. The first thing my quarterback better say is, he says, that linebacker up there, that second defender from the top, next one up, right there, he's out leveraged, coach. He's inside of a 2 receiver set, so we can throw now screen anytime we want out there because one of those receivers can peel back, set an edge, and we can get the ball outside. So the reason that you spend the time with your quarterback to understand that is you're going to ask your quarterback, as I take you through this for the next 2 days, you're going to ask your quarterback to make a lot of decisions for you. You're going to ask him to change a lot of things. We're in a quarterback battle at Emmett right now because I had a senior that just signed a scholarship and left. It's our JV quarterback and our 2 freshman quarterbacks duking it out for the job. Nothing that we spend time with them with right now has anything to do with how well they throw the ball. It's right there. You see that? What do you want to throw? And if I keep getting back the same answer that I would say, then I know that we're seeing the same picture. Does that make sense? I want to hear him saying the same things that are going on in my head. Because when I hear those things, I get that he's looking at the same stuff. Okay, these guys have all kinds of issues. They have some matchup issues. Okay, the matchup issue is really simple. That slot receiver down there at the bottom of the screen is playing right now at North Carolina A&T. He is 5 feet 6 inches tall, weighs 147 pounds. The reason he's at North Carolina A&T is because he's not 6'1". His 6'1" older brother is the starting corner at Notre Dame. Okay, if he was 4 inches taller, he'd be playing at Notre Dame. Okay, but he's a dude. And so he is the world's worst seam runner. He's terrible at it. But he is probably the world's greatest wheel runner. So the matchup is the wheel on 13. Okay? Our quarterback that year, that kid finished number 1 in the state in passing. He's 5'10". He wasn't a D1 guy either. He adopted the term. He started using, he said, Coach, that's a womb throw. W-O-M-B. And he would write that on the board. He'd walk in, he'd be like, Coach, we got a womb throw over here. And I'd be like, what the hell is a womb throw? He said, well, that guy right there beat that guy right there in the womb 17 years ago. He said, so I'm going to throw his ass the ball. He said, I don't know what you're going to call, but I'm going to dial me up a womb ball over there. And I was like, it's a fair point. Okay? So we started giving the quarterback more and more access. Now, when you have a quarterback that walks in and has that conversation with you, you're getting into the money now, right? Because now you got a guy who's sitting there dissecting the field like a surgeon. He's sitting there going, that's what I want to do right there. Okay? And since we started letting quarterbacks in on those levels of conversations, our turnovers have gone way down. When I used to call plays and tell the quarterback, hey, I see this, now go read it and make me look smart, we'd throw 17 or 18 interceptions a year. We had a stretch a couple years ago, 2 years back-to-back, we threw the ball 800 times. Okay, about 400 each year. That's a pretty good amount. We led the state both years in attempts. I believe we threw 12 interceptions in 800 attempts. Now, I don't know what that comes out to as an average, and I ain't real worried about it because it ain't very many. Okay? And all of it is because we did one thing right. We empowered our quarterback to make more decisions. That's the secret sauce. If you're looking for the what did they get done right, because that's what I always go to clinics and want to know, what did they get done right? We made the quarterback the decision maker, not us. I'm wrong a lot. He's wrong a lot less. Okay?